Listening to your goals and dreams is our top priority at West Tennessee Bank. Benefit from our more than 100 years of experience and visit our Henderson branch today. West Tennessee Bank, focused on you. West Tennessee Bank is a division of Decatur County Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC.
First item on the agenda are the minutes. Is there any correction or amendments to the minutes?
I don't have corrections, but I did see, Daryl, that problem that we talked about last month about the gas leak in Jack's Creek. I thought that we spent some money on their account, about $9,000 or something. Did that fix that?
That did, and then we've got another valve out there that's wasn't holding good that we can schedule for repair.
Okay, it's not leaking.
This particular one is completed.
Okay. So, and everybody's safe and sound, no problem.
No problem.
Good.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
Have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Do I have a second? Second. Have a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed signify by no. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda are accounts. There's no vote required. If you have any questions on our accounts, please give us the page and the number.
I was going to ask a question about the City of Henderson accounts number 62, about the Freightliner truck, whether it was right or not, but I managed to figure that out when I came in. It looks nice.
Yeah.
You just got to get the signage on it and we're set.
Are there any questions on the account? Okay. Next item on the agenda is delegations. We have a delegation here from Church County High School. I think how we're going to do this, Heather has set it up, and I think we need to go down and sit over here, and I think they're got a presentation for us.
I'm going to kick us off, I guess, and hope that that works like it's supposed to. Most of you know me. I'm Heather Griffin. I'm the Director of Coordinated School Health for Chester County Schools. And I work at Eagles Edge. That's where my office is, just on the west side campus of Chester County High School. And I know through some of these conversations that Eagles Edge and Heather Griffin have kind of come up, and just want to kick things off and explain kind of why. I started working with Miss Krause and a group of students 2 years ago. And we did that because through school health, there's a lot of pieces to school health, and community involvement, overall health of students and community, community outreach, partnerships, student leadership, all those things led me to apply for some grants to repurpose the building behind Eagles Edge. So we received a grant from the Tennessee Department of Education and the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. That building is now known as the Garden Shed. If you haven't driven by, you really should go look at it because it looks really, really good. So that's where I started working with this group. Miss Krause was not even the ag teacher at the time, but she has a love for this kind of thing, and so she started teaching a greenhouse class, and that's how we all got started. The things that we were able to do through our partnership with school health, with family resource, with the high school, Even with the city and the county and some local farmers and businesses, we offered after-school programs. We were able to educate some of the younger kids and families, and it was just a lot of fun. So what we've grown into now is much more stable, much more secure, and that's how I got involved in this, and it's great. It's wonderful. The character these kids build and the bonds that they are forming is amazing. So that's how I started tonight. I'm only here as a helper, as a supporter. So that being said, I'm going to turn it over to the people in charge, and the first one will be Paul Jones.
The Agriculture Science Program is an approved CTE course through the Department of Education. Through this program of study, standards are required such as environmental systems, food science, agribusiness, natural resources, veterinarian, and animal science. With being in this agri-science class, you will learn leadership with FFA, classroom and laboratory instruction, and an SAE, which are supervised agriculture experiences, which is hands-on learning. As you see, we have support from our state senator, Paige Wally.
I'm Eli Newsom. Over the past few years, our FFA program has went downhill. We've had several students within our school district leave our school district and transfer to other schools for their FFA program. In the last few years, on average, we've had about 10 members in our FFA program at school. This year, we have over 80 members involved in our FFA program. Allowing us to add chickens to our program could help attract students that otherwise have left our school for other schools for their FFA program. It can capture the attention of those looking for a new location, and it can even attract students within our school district that may not have consider agriculture otherwise. Our ultimate goal is to grow our program. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Madison Wolfter. We have a traditional garden at the shed and have been composting for a few years now. And by adding chickens to our setup would enhance our experience. There are many benefits to having chickens available to our school. They lay eggs which we can use to cook, and we can sell them at the local farmers market. They create excellent fertilizer for our compost. Easy to take care of for our students, help control bugs, weeds naturally, helps us learn job skills and responsibilities. They are a great way to engage students in our school garden. They could also pique interest in students who are not otherwise interested. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy Cherry, and I would first like to start off by thanking First Farmers Co-op for being a big support of our program. When Madison called Mr. Matt Hearn, he jumped at the opportunity to help us grow our program, generously building us a chicken nest. This chicken coop will hold 25 chickens, and the house will be 6 foot by 12 foot, and the room will be 12 foot by 16 foot.
So this just kind of shows you the size that the chicken coop is that co-op has generously built for us. I'll let you see what we're looking at, and there'll be a top limit right there.
When I saw they already had the top on it.
They had, yes, it was, I think, right after this.
located by the garden shed, and it'll stay neat and clean so it's not an eyesore for people driving by the roads. And it'll be close to our compost bin so you can easily take the waste from the chicken coop and put it into the compost bins and the scraps from our garden and put it straight into the chicken coop without having to move it around. And as you saw in the video, the chicken coop has doors so the students will not have to come in contact with them if they're not comfortable getting in contact with the chickens. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Abby Bartlett. Our chickens will be taken care of by our students during the school days and Ms. Krause on weekends, holidays, and during the summer. In the event the chickens need attention for any reason outside of school hours, we have a call list that will be made available to our school administrators as well as the City Police Department. The call list consists of Ms. Krause, Ms. Heather Griffin, and Ms. Amy Eads, as well as a few more close and willing FFA officers. We will always have someone available to take care of our chickens if needed. Thank you. Hi, my name is Aisha Stovall, and we are coming before you today to ask for consideration for an exemption for educational purposes for our city ordinance containing our chickens. There are smaller cities around us like Lexington and Jackson that also have city ordinances in place that allow them to have chickens, and also larger areas like Metro Nashville and Knoxville. Thank you.
So I'm Teresa Krause. I'm the ag teacher and the FFA advisor at Chester County High School. I want to start out by saying how proud I am of this group of kids. They work really hard. They are diligent in finding out information so that they can explain to you what it is that we're trying to do. And when they put their mind to something, they try to get it done. So they amaze me every day. I'm very proud of you guys. We've had a lot of discussions in class about how poultry could actually be a benefit to our program. As you can see tonight, there's a lot of benefits that they actually listed for you so that you can kind of get an idea of how that's going to affect our students. I'm here, Ms. Heather's here, our school is here. We have a lot of support here with us tonight. We appreciate that. We're here for the sole purpose of educating our kids and really getting this group of kids and hopefully later a lot more ready for an agricultural future. So in that, I work hard to give them experiences that are going to allow them to be able to learn from those and be proud of. It takes a village to care for and educate our kids. And I'm extremely proud to be part of this village. Thank you.
Tyler Pierce, Will Kim, Lexi Hall, and I, Caleb Arnold, appreciate the opportunity to come before you this evening to explain our request and your consideration. Thank you.
Okay, I think everybody here knows one of the reasons we're here is because the city does have an ordinance. A few years ago, it seemed like that's all we were doing for about 3 months, talking about chickens about 2 or 3 years ago. So, but this came forward. I asked, with short of changing our ordinance, I asked Jim and Keith Smith to see if there's a way we could do this without changing our ordinance, and I'll turn that over to them because they've been working on it for the last week.
I have done research concerning this, and all indications are there's no problem if the city council feels like they want to create a special exception to the ordinance for the Chester High School Ag Program to have chickens on whatever rules that y'all set forth for that exception. So I think legally there's no issue doing this. It's unique. It's totally different than any other thing you're going to be requested as far as chickens. Before we were dealing with residential chickens in people's backyards. It's a totally different situation. So I feel like there is no problem legally as far as doing a special session, a section for the high school program.
Jim and I went out and looked at the location where y'all were interested in placing the building. Went and looked at the building out at the co-op. Matt Hearn was nice enough to show it to me. Basically, the picture that we saw there is at the end of the eagle's nest. There's where the garden is, and it would sit next to the garden. So it'd be very easy to take everything out of the chicken coop and put it right in the garden, the compost there. And I don't see any problem with the chickens getting out or getting loose. We've had that problem before in town. I think making an exception for educational purposes on school property, limiting it to, Jim and I talked, believe it or not, 25 hens, obviously no roosters, one thing, and there was no problem, my understanding with that. I thought we could make an exception for putting up to 25 hens with it, and we asked Heather about the fact it would be taken care of in the summer, and y'all addressed that tonight, so we covered that question. One thing that we thought might need to be in place with this exception was the fact that if, for some reason, the hens weren't there for a period of 24 months, 2 years, then that exception would go away. But that was my opinion, and I've been one that's adamant about the chickens in town, but I would be in favor of the board doing it. And I think Jim and I offhand did not see any issue making an exception strictly for educational purposes on school grounds.
Question, if you got the 24 months, if, let's say that it was set for 24 months, and then we did away with it in a year they came back, could they still come back to the city council and get it reinstated?
I would say no problem, but we would have to, I think we need to would need to revisit it for 2 years. There was nothing done with it.
Just to make sure that it was as well thought out.
Right, and to make sure, because things could change with it being nothing happening for 2 years. We might need to revisit the situation just to be sure, but doesn't sound like there's going to be that gap. So I don't see that as a big concern, but I think limiting it to basically what the coop could handle, which we thought 25, and y'all can address that with that exact number. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I have no issue.
And I think you addressed too that so we can arm your officers when they have to tell some other citizen why they're getting cited for chickens, is that this is an exemption.
The ordinance would still be in effect for everybody with their exception. Now, I heard the Henderson Police Department mentioned something, I don't know what that's about, it caught my attention. Are we feeding chickens on the weekend?
They were going to put you at the top of the list.
All three.
We said we were coming up with a list of who would be in rotation or in sequence to call if something was needed.
Okay.
And we would supply that list not only our school district, but also to the city police department.
But no, I really wanted to just make sure that when their officers went and cited someone, that they could say, oh no, the ordinance is still the same.
Yes, ma'am.
Except this is a school activity. It's agriculture on their property. They're good. but I can't have chickens, or my neighbor can't have chickens.
And it was also, should there be any ag students that lives in town, they would not be, it doesn't allow them to have any there.
At their home.
It's only on school property. And there was some discussion about the idea perhaps of a privacy fence or something, but we backed off of that because at this point didn't think that was an issue.
Any other board member? Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we allow the ag program an education exemption so that they can have up to 25 hens, part of their program, located on school property. With the exception being in place unless they allow or don't do it for a period of 24 months.
And then it be revisited.
And it can be revisited, they would have to come back and send another group of ag students to come by, and FFA students and come by and talk to us, or whoever's on the board at that time.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed signify by no. Motion carried. We don't have to have roll call since we were told it's not changing the order.
Good
All right.
job to these guys, you know they're good.
Thank you all very much.
We thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is consider the ordinance of final reading adopting the 2018 building and related code. Grant?
Yes, sir. We had this come up last month. The state of Tennessee requires that we be within 7 years of the currently printed code. So 2021 came around. There's a code here printed in 2021. So we were in 2012 in the commercial side of it, building, plumbing, and mechanical. We'd already went to the 2018 residential, so we're going to bring all the codes to the 2018, which would make us in compliance with the state, and we would be in compliance hopefully for at least 6 more years.
Now, this is the final reading. We already had one reading on that last month.
That's correct.
Any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we adopt ordinance 534, which adopts the 2018 building and related codes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second on final reading. Roll call vote.
Mr. Barber?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. Manus?
Yes.
6 votes, 5 in favor, 1 absent.
Okay, ordinance passes. Next item on the agenda is consider appointment of a new municipal court judge to replace Judge Patterson. He is retiring at the end of the year. I think we had a meeting last month, Jim and myself and Chief Davidson interviewed a lawyer that was in there, and I turned that over to Jim. So he was one that
I believe a little over a month ago, we forwarded you a copy of a resume and a cover sheet from G.W. Sherrard III, Chip, as most people know him by. He's a partner down here at Talbot at Tardy's downtown. He was interested and was, actually, he was pleased we asked him to consider it. We have met with him, Chief was there, Mayor was there, and we had a good discussion. I think we're all in agreement that would be a good thing. You know, we discussed that the city judge does not have to be an attorney, but we feel like it is a good thing. Chip is willing to serve at a flat price of $600 a month. That is $100 higher than what our existing judge, Eddie Patterson, was making. Because he's a licensed attorney, I think that is a very reasonable price, to be honest. And I think all of us that were in the meeting would probably recommend that we hire him as city judge starting in January.
Sounds good. I was afraid it'd be much higher.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'd like to make the motion that we go ahead and move with Esquire Sheriff, as the sheriff, at the price of $600 to begin the month of January 2021.
Have a motion? Do I have a second? Second. Have a second. Any discussion?
Does he need to, meet with Eddie and sit in on Jan in December?
Well, we're gonna talk to him after tonight and see if he's willing to do that and he's free with his schedule. And he'll also have to take an oath of office prior to him actually taking over the duties as judge. And we're gonna arrange to have that done by the end of the month.
I wouldn't
If
object-
y'all approve.
I wouldn't object to him, us paying him to show up in December, just to,
To watch.
yeah.
That's fine, okay.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed signify by no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is item F, consider purchase of a new trencher/plow on the co-op purchase agreement for the utility department to replace existing trencher. Darrell?
We're replacing the RT-36, the ditch witch. It currently has a backhoe attached with and like a trenching chain. This particular unit will have an actual vibratory plow where we can actually plow surfaces. It's a little bit, it's a small enough footprint that we do a lot less damage in the yard than what we're construction match to what we're actually digging now. And this was a budgeted item. Since we do have a trencher chain on one end and the vibratory plow on the other, we were going to, the gas department would pick up 44,000 and the water would pick up 4, and that would be a total of 48. The price is a little bit less than that. I anticipate getting some sharp teeth for the chain and it'll be less than the 48.
Thank you, Darrell, for always being conscientious of the budget and not thinking outside that. I appreciate that. I know you do. But, this is a good-looking piece of equipment, and I'd be glad to see you get it. And I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with the budgeted equipment that we discussed preparing this budget.
We have a motion to approve the purchase. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion on the motion?
This is under a state contract, isn't it?
This is actually a federal purchase agreement.
It's a federal purchase agreement, Sourcewell, which is the same way we purchase the garbage truck. So it's a private purchase agreement that has been approved nationwide, and a lot of things are on that agreement, and it allows us to do that without going through the bidding procedure.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed signify by no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is consider accepting an access road as a city street on the east side of Highway 45 North at Kimberly Drive. Brent?
Yes, sir. We had a plat submitted to the Plan Commission by Mr. Charles Patterson. We looked at this several different ways, and based on our regulations, for him to do what he wants to and split these 5 buildings into 5 separate pieces of property, this configuration would work the best for what the city's regulations are. It shows a cul-de-sac in front, between the second and third building, and then we have a ownership of one of the tracks. I think its address is 588, would be the tire shop. They would actually own that strip back to the cul-de-sac, and then there would be a 50-foot easement on that strip, which the Green's Garage would get access to their property. The reason that the cul-de-sac did not go all the way to Green's is because the city has a limit of 600 feet on the cul-de-sac. So for him to split this property, we looked at this several different ways, and this is the only way that he can do that. And one of the other things that the city regulations state is that each individual property must front on 50 feet of street frontage or have a 50-foot easement. And we can grant that to one piece of property. We can't do a perpetual or continuous easement. So, like I said, this meets all of our requirements as far as the city. The only thing that the city would have to do is accept this cul-de-sac as a city street or an access road, which would give him the opportunity to split those 5 pieces of property.
So this is all because he wants to split the 5
That's correct.
pieces. Now, and then we would build this circular access
The property out there, the circular access, every bit of that you see in that 50-foot right-of-way, in that 100-foot circle, is already built and paved. It's been there forever.
Right. This is Joey's, I'm sorry. This is Joey's.
The first one, that's correct, is Joey Harris.
And then Greens is down here.
Greens is at the far end, and we have the tire shop, we have
I'm just trying to figure out what we have to maintain or.
It would be what was basically striped out there, and what we have is we went out and we just painted a 26-foot wide access road. So that would be the minimum width that the city street could be if it doesn't have curb and gutter.
Right.
So that 26 feet would be what the city would have to maintain if they decide to accept this street. There's also, from the pavement closest to the right-of-way fence, about 12 to 15 feet between the pavement and the right-of-way fence. That would be part of the right-of-way. See, we have a 50-foot strip of right-of-way, and we've got a 26-foot wide street in the middle of that.
So who owns it? I mean, each individual doesn't own their land now.
The property lines, that's correct. It's all owned by Mr. Patterson.
Okay, and he's just wanting to subdivide it.
He's wanting to, I think the first thing was the last piece of property there that came to him about purchasing it. And the only way that he could sell Green's property was to get access somehow to a city street. And right now, the only street they have is Kimberly.
Yeah.
We looked at, out there, you would actually just paint the stripe, you said stripe it, and you would even, I think, in front of the businesses, kind of paint something where it indicated where the people could turn in, kind of control access to the property.
Yes, that's
whether it's Joey Harris or the auto sales place or tire shop, it would all be, it would be painted, and all just inside that would. That's what we, the city, would be responsible for.
The 26 feet of actual, where the lines will be drawn.
So we're not.
Outside of that will be, you'll have about 10 feet of right of way on the, I guess it would be the east side. But it's all paved. It's like one big parking lot.
Right, right.
But the city would maintain the 26 feet from the pavement next to the right-of-way fence over 26 feet towards the buildings.
So even though it's a city street, we don't have to curb it or gutter it or.
That'd be the city's decision. Once we
I just
accept
don't want
it.
to spend a lot of money.
Right. Once the city accepts it.
Currently, we will not be spending any money on it.
Okay.
But somewhere in the future, when it does need to be repaved, it would be just like any other city street. It would have to be repaved, and we would pave that 26 foot plus the cul-de-sac part. The rest of the property would be maintained by whoever the property owner is at the time. But you are taking on the responsibility, just like you do anytime you accept a city street, of maintaining it in the future.
Yeah.
A little different with this one, it's not a brand new street, it's already sitting there.
Yeah.
And the pavement is wider than just a street because of the way it's been done all these years. So it is a little different, and I think that, that's the reason all this discussion is happening with the planning commission, with Brent, and the developer, is to make sure.
Trying to make it work.
Yeah, make it work, but it is taking on a street that the city will be liable for maintenance down the road. I figure, it may be 10 years before it needs to be paved again. But at some point, the city will have to pay to repave that access. Just like we would the one in front of Main Street Medical, what used to be Lawford House, that is an access road that the city is responsible for maintaining.
Well, any utilities under that street, will be on that street? Sewer line, gas line, water line?
I think everything is in the right-of-way, water and gas, I believe, is in the right-of-way, 45. I think sewer is actually behind the buildings, so there's nothing that I know of existing in that street area.
Won't be any expense to the city or anything like that if something did take place?
if something takes place, there probably will be some expense to the city, but like I said, I can't predict the future.
Water line is in that because there was a fire hydrant out there, I believe.
There's a fire hydrant, but I don't know if it's located inside that actual paved area.
You know, Derek?
Not at that location.
No, it's in the grass.
I think the water line's between the right-of-way fence and the pipe. So if there's a grassy area there that you were talking about 10 or 15 foot wide, it's either there or outside the fence on the state right-of-way, one of the two. And of course, there will be, I'm sure, gas services coming underneath this road, but we have that on every street in town. That's nothing unique, that's gas and water services individually.
Brett, do you have any reservations to us accepting this access road as a city street?
Put me on the spot.
I am.
You know more about it than we do.
I know it's been there a long time, and I don't think they've done a whole lot of maintenance to it. But the thing about it is what it is. I don't think it's been any trouble so far. So I just say use your best judgment there. Somewhere in the future, we will have to pave it like we do every other street.
What's the idea, what's the purpose of this?
The purpose is to split the pieces of property because you can't have a separate piece of property unless it fronts on the street. Currently, the only piece of property out there that fronts on the street is that whole thing on Kimberly. There is, so if he splits off one piece of property behind Joey or past Joey's shop, then he's going to have to extend the street.
And he's
And if he has to
trying to
extend the
talk.
street, it's all going to stay together as one piece of property, according to the city regulations.
So this keeps him from having to make improvements to this property to sell it, correct?
If we accept the street, yeah.
He can't even extend the street,
The street cannot be extended, well, it can be extended to 600 feet, but that doesn't get him past Green.
but it don't get him to green.
So if Green wanted to split off a lot on the north side of their property, they couldn't do that because they don't have access to, unless they come with another road that ties into this and doesn't exceed the 600 feet. Then you have a through street instead of a 600-foot cul-de-sac.
And so it's Greens that wants to buy.
That is my
And
understanding.
Mr. Patterson cannot sell it unless we do that, unless he extends this himself or not.
He's got 600 feet and he can't get to Greens in that 600 foot.
But still, he would have to accept it as a street, even no matter how he does it.
Yeah.
Because the city still is responsible to accept the street in a new subdivision. You know, it'd be the same situation, this was an empty, property, and he was wanting to split off lots, he would have to build the street out, which he has basically already built.
Basically, yeah, the street's there, basically. Cul-de-sac at the end, because he doesn't have enough room between the buildings.
He can't come down here and do it.
No, ma'am, there's not enough room to do what the city requires. So you see where the two buildings are. There's a larger gap in between those two buildings, you've got more room.
Yeah.
So that's the only place they could locate the cul-de-sac to meet the city requirements.
And when he splits these up, he's going to still own all of them other than Green, my understanding that was presented. And the property that he'll split off and tire shop will be Green from him, will provide the easement for Green's garage to get to the cul-de-sac.
That is correct.
And only one piece of property, Green's, can tie into the cul-de-sac with that access.
That's correct.
Green can't split it. There's a lot more land located back there. Green can't split it for another business because only one piece of property can have access past the tire shop to the edge of the cul-de-sac.
He could add to his existing business, he could put another building there, but the property couldn't be split because he's already got access. through the easement.
Does any other business there object to this, or have you talked to them, or they?
Every one of the businesses are owned by Mr. Patterson.
Yes.
So, I don't know if the owners of the businesses, as long as they've got access to their business, I don't think they would care. But I have not asked them individually. Because Mr. Patterson is the owner of every bit of that.
I think it would be a while before the city would be out much on the street simply because it's not high traffic. I don't think there's a lot of traffic there. I don't know how long it's been there. Usually when Mr. Patterson does something, it's built, obviously up to code, and it looked in pretty good shape the other day.
What's Tuesday? Who's going to take the drive?
He said that he would do that if we could get somebody or give him a recommendation of who would do that for him.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Can we table this for next meeting?
You can always say, make a motion, take.
I'd like to make a motion to give us a little bit more time to consider it.
Have a motion to table to the next board meeting. Do I have a second? Second. Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? It was Jason. Any discussion on the motion?
I'll just comment that this came from the planning commission, it was approved by the planning commission. I think, if I remember correctly, there wasn't any objection from the planning commission because it had all the requirements, legal requirements, whether we want to, as a board, take on the street.
Right. They're not taking it out, we would take it out.
We would
That's
take
why I
on-
think we want to think about it.
Just the fact of where the cul-de-sac is strong has become our responsibility.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of tabling to next month, signify by aye. Aye. All opposed, signify by no. No. Roll call.
Alderman Barber?
Aye.
Alderman Smith?
No.
Alderman Butler?
Yes.
Alderman Rhodes?
Yes.
Alderman Mays?
Yes.
4 in favor, 1 against.
We'll address it next month. Okay. Next item is item 8, reappoint the members to the planning commission, board of zoning appeals, and industrial development board. These, if you know, every year we have somebody who's technically supposed to roll off, but we usually don't ever let them roll off and kind of make it like a federal judge. You got to pass it away when we get off on these boards. So this time I've recommended Emily Johnson on the planning commission, Cecil Warren Hearn, who is also the chairman of the industrial development board, and Charles Cabinet is on the board of zoning appeals to reinstate, we put them back on the board.
Make a motion to reappoint these members.
Have a motion to reappoint. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed signify by no. Motion carries. Okay. Next, in other business, I'm going to read this. Alderman Butler gave this to us, and I'd like to read this out. To the mayor and alderman, words cannot express my sincere appreciation of your support during the illness and passing of my mama. I would appreciate your continued support as I grieve this loss. The wreath with the snow owl is gorgeous and I will use it every Christmas and remember your kindness. In Christian love, Alderman Donna Butler. Next, Chief, you have anything?
Yeah, we don't have any more Crown Vics in our fleet now. We've got one as a spare backup car, and I've got a boneyard out of the maintenance bill, I think, of old Crown Vics. They're old now and stuff, so I'm planning on selling those. And I would like to donate one to the school. Mr. Carter at the shop at the school to use it. They can work with it. They said they'd be interested in getting one. If that's okay with you.
If y'all remember, the fire department had the old brush truck, and when we gave it to the county fire department, And it's just, for Jim, it's just a simple sign the deed over.
Yeah, we just need to make sure it gets titled over to the school system to relieve us of any liability if it comes. But that's the only thing. No problem at all.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a motion. Second. Have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by aye. Aye. All opposed, signify by no. Motion carries. Superintendent Kilmer, you got the car. I didn't know if you wanted one or not, but you got one.
We're gonna take the blue lights out.
At least give me one night with you.
Just still got the lights on.
I'm sorry, Clark? As y'all know, I think we posted out today, our public works is down almost half the workforce. We got them all out with illness and the COVID's getting them and so we kind of done a skeleton deal with our route. We'll still be able to do our garbage route. We've moved recycling to Saturday. We're going to bring them in Saturday to try to do that. Leave and limb pickup is I'm sorry, it's almost non-existent until we can get some people back to work. It is. I think everybody's going through this, and it's just, we're getting hit right now. I think the police department's done a great job, but they've stretched, they got their supervisors working graveyard shifts and everything else to keep overtime down. They're doing a great job. And like I say, every couple of weeks we lose one or two, so we've kind of got through. Fire department's been kind of lucky. He's keeping them pretty much separated. And so, or they don't have any friends. I don't know. But they do a good job. I think Darryl got hit a little bit too. So, Darryl, do you have anything?
I'd like for the mayor and the alderman to join me in congratulating these three individuals. I have three people in my department. Isaac Harold took a Tennessee biological natural exam and became a certified biological natural wastewater system operator. Julia Weeks took the biological natural and also passed her exam. And then Cody King took the distribution tube. All those were a state board exam, and those three individuals passed and will receive their license.
Great.
Yeah, that's it. Jim?
I got a couple items. First, when COVID hit, the federal government implemented what they called it, the Family First Coronavirus Response Act. As part of that act, most employers in the nation were required to provide up to 80 hours of paid sick leave for employees that were required to be off because of COVID, or quarantined due to COVID, or waiting for a test result due to COVID, etc. That expires at the end of the year. And Congress in Washington is arguing over the next phase of any relief there might be. But I don't want any employees to get caught in the meantime. Several employees have had to rely on this. As you know, we've had several employees that have been sick, sometimes a whole lot more than the 2 weeks. We have several that have not had to use it yet. But the way things are going right now, they could get hit and be having to use their own sick leave, or in the case of a newer employee, they may not have enough sick leave to be off. I would like to ask the board to continue this 80 hours of sick leave, separate and apart from their regular sick leave, for COVID-related reasons if they have to be off from work. Now, anybody that's already used up their 80 hours, they're not going to get another 80 hours. It's just going to be somebody that hasn't had to use it yet will still be able to. If that's okay with y'all, it is something that will cost money. I'll be the first one to admit. You're looking at possibly 80 hours on whoever it might be, could be out. You know, sometimes it's a few days. You know, CDC now is recommending you get back to work a little sooner, but still the quarantine is still at 14 days if you're exposed. So I'd like for y'all to consider that, just because I don't want this to expire before. Now, the federal government may come back later this month or early in January and pass something that supersedes this, and it may be twice as big a benefit. Unlike private industry, we can't get any money back from this because we're government. What we're out, we're out. So keep that in mind, but I would like for y'all to consider doing that for our employees.
How long do you want to extend it?
About to the February meeting, and then the board relook at it.
That would be fine with me. At least you covers this for the interim until we know what the federal government's going to do.
Okay.
Now, is this for quarantine or for those that do have the virus?
Both. It can be either way. It can be somebody that's actually sick, somebody that went to the doctor and just waiting on a test result, so he gets his test results back, if they have it, then he still continues on. If there's somebody in the household, he needs to be quarantined, then it would count for them too, whether they're sick or not. So,
And you get documentation on all this?
yes, yes.
I think that'd be fine.
It's fair for the ones that haven't been exposed.
Right.
The others have used it, just to provide it, at least the paperwork for the others. They've got to be out there working harder, but everybody that can out there, and we don't want them to hesitate going out.
We don't want somebody to work sick and not tell us of their situation until they don't have a sick leave to be on.
Now, that's 80 hours for the maximum for employees.
Yeah.
With the government, does that change that? If the city does this for the...
No, it doesn't change anything. We're just continuing the 80 hours after the end of the year, just like it's been in place since back in March when all this started. So really it just basically moves that deadline to the February meeting.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make the motion that we continue that practice till the February board meeting for employees that have not already used their 80 hours of allowed time because of COVID-related illness.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed signify by no. Carry. Jim?
One other thing, if you noticed in your packets this time, your financial reports look a little different. For those of you that look. We do have new Journal Ledger software package that got installed since the last meeting, and these are the new reports. The reports, there is a multitude of reports that we can run, and we're still learning them. This was as close as what y'all have been used to seeing, and that's the reason you got this one. It's a few more pages long. I don't know if you like it or not. If you don't like it, we'll try to find a better one. But myself and Alicia,
I want it better than what we have.
we printed tons of them on the screen and looked and tried to figure out which one was the best that would give you the most information. So I hope that helps you. So I won't bring that to your attention. I assume y'all know this.
I'll take just a moment and commend these young people for the way that you came before this board and presented yourselves. You made a great case, and I thank you for what each of you are doing and what you'll be doing in the future. And especially I want to thank Ms. Krause for your leadership within this program and in this community. We thank you very much for your service.
Definitely a good job by the FFA. Thank y'all. I only had one question, that just perhaps an update on Brandon Connor, who's one.
I think he came home this morning, didn't he? This morning he came home and he's improving. He's on oxygen, but he's had a rough time.
I know we've got several that are obviously sick, but he was the one that, I guess, in the hospital and a lot of concern. That's all I had, Mayor.
No, thank you all for coming tonight, I appreciate it.
Yeah, big thanks for that, FFA. I thought you guys did a good job. I know how hard it is to stand up here at the podium and speak to a crowd, so good job.
Some of you guys, all you guys spoke real well tonight, so we'll probably get ready to be a politician one day.
Anyone else, like the rest of the board? Again, Dusty, y'all did a great job. This is how government's supposed to work. You get in, you present your stuff, and you make changes. And so y'all did an excellent job. School system, I see. God, I appreciate y'all supporting your people. And I'd like to wish everyone here a Merry Christmas. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.